Hey everyone, so I am going to be going over the Queen of Water herself, Yauras, today. So, I'm sure a lot of people have noticed that Yauras seems a little bit underwhelming in Global, yet if you talk to any Japanese player, they're going to just scream to the high heavens, Yauras is a monster, she's one of, if not the best water unit in the game, and there's a couple reasons for that. And a lot of it is going to come from her Kaigan, which I am going to go over now. So, my Yauras is 554, and the only reason she is not 555 is because I haven't quite collected all of her shards yet. So, like always, we are going to go with 5 into gate 1 for the extra HP. We'll go with an additional 5 into gate 2, because that will give her an extra 25% physical attack to help her hit these really high numbers that we come to expect from her. And her gate 3 is a really good leader skill. 20% HP, 30% attack, and 20% water. It's an extremely aggro leader skill. You're going to be doing a lot of damage with this leader skill. This kind of leader skill can support a mixed team. It's not as good as, say, a 50-20 leader skill for a mixed team, because since Yara started with 50% attack, she only gets 20 of that converted into water, and she gets the extra 20% HP. So if you were to field a magic unit with her, they would only be getting a 40% leader skill as opposed to a physical attack unit that gets a 70%. Yauras is definitely ideal for maxing gate 3 over Shayna, who actually shares the same Kaigan leader skill, because gate 3 gives you 3 evade for every single time you raise it. So she can get an additional 15 evade, and Yauras is an evade meme unit. So let's take a look at her gear, because Yauras' gear is going to be very complicated, especially when it comes to global. We'll start with her Nenso. Yauras does have her own Nenso. Her Nenso isn't necessarily required, but it is very much so the icing on the cake that helps keep her over the edge and put her just above other units, because it's going to give her more options. So she gets speed as the base stats, which of course will then, since it's a base stat on the Nenso, it'll multiply by your speed bonuses from her job masters and such. She also, for Lustberg units, mine's limit break 1, but at limit break 1 she gets 23 fire exploit for Lustberg units. Yauras' Nenso is a top tier Nenso. We're talking like almost Bolt level here, because that particular stat bonus for Lustberg units, which have a lot of water units that can cast a lot of water skills and spells, because a lot of them are mages, this Nenso will benefit Lavina, it'll benefit Ultima, it'll benefit any unit that can cast water skills who's a Lustberg unit, which is just a lot of them. And that is actually a lot of exploit. Think about it this way. Ultima's Gate 2 gives him 40 fire exploit. This Nenso alone is giving him over half of that, and it's not even max limit break. The other stats here is for SSM units. It gives them fire resistance, which is what that 7 there is. Not great. It's something, but you almost would never run Yauras with other SSM units because it just does not match up well. And then that final group you see there gives Yauras 48 attack and 101 dex, which she doesn't really use the dex in her damage calculations, I don't think. But she definitely uses attack, and she definitely likes attack. So let's go to her gear. And I think that this is going to be complicated for Global because of the global exclusive equipment and deciding exactly how you want to approach this. So there are two ways to run Yauras. You can either forego the turn 1 charge up nuke, or you can embrace the turn 1 charge up nuke. I choose to embrace it, because being able to charge up turn 1 is a very, very powerful thing. And I think Global's more aware of that than like anyone, because of how popular the hat is on charge up units. The hat in Global has allowed a lot of units, like Yauras in Global right now, to be able to charge up turn 1 and then nuke turn 2 effectively just increasing their effectiveness on a map. This was especially prevalent in the Yomi versus Lucian debate, where the hat gave Yomi enough jewels to charge up an attack turn 1, while Lucian fell just short without Xian's leader skill. So I like to run regen armor on Yauras. She is an evade beam unit, but she does get hit, and there's really no other HP gear in the game that like gives her a lot of benefit. There is no like charge up armor that gives her extra stats on slash like Pierce has. She could use Tamamo VCR for the extra HP, but the regen, just one turn of regen makes up for that HP. So there's really no reason not to run regen armor. The next item I'm going to go over is her VCR. Her VCR gives 30 max jewels, 10 speed, 20 charm chance, and 60 charm reduction. So the charm is just kind of gimmicky on her. It's not like it's super consistent. I've had it go off on some maps, and other maps it just doesn't go off because status is resisted most of the time anyways. The 10 speed is definitely important. Yauras wants as much speed as she can pack, and those max jewels are going to come in handy because it's going to help us put us over the line when you use the I'm going to call it a DG armband. It's an SSM unit item, and it gives all of the SSM units a special stat above and beyond its base stats. The base stats are 5 initial jewels, 30 magic, and 15 light and dark resistance. And you might be thinking, well, what's the magic attack for? And the answer is nothing. She doesn't use magic attack. What we really want is that weapon ability you see down there, which in Yauras' case is going to give her a 10% speed boost, or a speed boost, and speed boost, my bad. And that boost is going to be above and beyond the stat she has. So it's considered a buff in the stage. So it stacks with the 10 speed off of this piece of gear here. And let's say she has 200 speed, 10% of that is 20, she'll be rocking 220 speed on the map. And she'll get even more than that if you use like an enchanter Ultima to boost her speed up even higher. Now, I don't necessarily think that's important to do. She's already fast enough. But you could do that theoretically. The reason I think it might be a little confusing with Global and how they want to handle this is because Yauras suffers from only having 3 pieces of gear that she can equip at a time. The armband here is only there for the speed and the 5 initial jewels. That's all it's there for. There is no reason other than that to run that. And I'm sure you noticed I have completely foregone a weapon. Like, I'm not using a weapon. There is no physical attack on any of my gear pieces. Now, if I wanted to be able to still turn 1 charge up and use the VCR, I would have to use Wrath Blades. It's that simple. There is no other combination of gear where I can fit the VCR and a weapon without the Wrath Blades. And why we need the VCR is because the VCR is going to give Yauras an AoE attack. And her kit pretty much has no AoE, and that attack is going to be the hardest hitting attack in her kit. I've seen it hit like, I think like 20k, and it's AoE, so it can hit multiple people for like 15 to 20k after a charge up. It's insane. So I honestly do not think that Yauras will end up using the hat in Global. I really hope you got your Wrath Swords in case you need them. Or in my case, you can just run her without any and still be able to perform very well. I was definitely excited for the Full Metal Alchemist rerun here, so I could get those, so I have them as an option. So let's take Yauras into a map and see how she performs. I'm going to have Yauras lead here because there's really no reason for her not to. I've mentioned before that 20 water, or 20 of an element, is going to do a little less damage than, say, physical attack or a magic attack. But in all honesty, the damage is close enough that we can still get a pretty good idea of how much damage she would do if she had her Kaigan leader skill. And if she had her Kaigan leader skill, more often than not, I would be using her as my lead. The one thing you'll notice in Japan is we do not normally run a leader skill that doesn't have HP. HP is the number one, the most important stat, because you can't kill anything if you are dead. So, let's take a look at our jewel values here. This is our charge up. It's 12 joules. All Holy Brawler charge ups are 12 joules. Except Shura, but we obviously don't have that. Yauras has 49 right now. 5 of those are coming from the DG armband. And her master ability that comes from her VCR is 40. So that immediately off the bat, she cannot charge up and use her hardest hitting attack with the armband setup. If I was using Wrath Blades, however, I would have enough initial joules to use this skill. And this skill is a 2-range, a perpendicular line to that. And while that might not seem like a lot, it actually is pretty effective. It's more effective than you think it would be. It's not too uncommon to have enemies that are close together line up in such a manner that you can abuse that. You also cannot use this single target at the end of her kit, but you can use this. And this is her 35 joule skill. And as you notice, it has a very long range, and it can hit pretty hard already. So we're looking at 5.7k right there. Let's try charging up and seeing how much she does after that. So now we're looking at a 13.4k attack. And while that might not hit that 15k figure that you'll almost always hear me quote when I say how much damage Yauras can nuke for, that's because Yauras has a very high crit rate. And in almost every single circumstance, you're going to have at least one of the 3 hits that attack comes off as crit. And that's going to send her up to about 15k, and she can go even higher if she gets more than 1. So let's charge up some more joules so we can see what her VCR attack can do. So we will hop back down here and charge up again. Now we're looking at a 17.6k attack. And there is one caveat to this attack. I have never seen it crit, so I assume that it cannot crit. 17.6k, that's what you're going to get. If you're on a map and you have like defense down on a boss, or you have water resistance down, it can obviously hit more than that. If my VCR, or not my VCR, my Nenso was higher and had more fire exploit, she would hit harder. If I had buffed her speed using an Ultima enchanter, it would have given her 10 water, because that's what elemental enchanters do, is they give an additional 10 water on top of the stats they would have given, and it hit harder. You're looking at a really hard hitting AoE attack right here. And this is the reason why Yauras is the queen of water. She is pretty hard to kill between all of her evade, and she actually tanks hits decently well. She's not a tank, but she can take a couple hits before it starts becoming an issue. Another benefit of Yauras is her turns come so incredibly fast that if you just end your turn without moving, her turn will come a lot faster than, say, another unit, so she can try to cheese a little bit more HP out of it. Really, it's just, Yauras is a straightforward, I'm just going to murder you, I'm going to charge up, and then I'm going to kill you type character. She doesn't have a ton of tricks in her main kit. If you decide to run her sub-kit, there is some status in there, but it's not like you have to run it. In all honesty, I wouldn't run it, because Yauras just wants to do damage, and she just evades everything else. I really don't have that much to add at this point on Yauras. She does an insane amount of damage, and she doesn't die. I mean, it's really not that complicated, but this is why Yauras is the queen of water. I have noticed there are a lot of global players who find Yauras underwhelming, and that's mostly because she's missing her Gate 2, which is going to boost up her physical attack, and her Nenso. And with the combination of those two things, and I believe she gets a small upgrade on her job +2 later, it does send her over the top and just makes her an absolute monster. So this is the first of the DG units I've really gone into, or the SSM units as they're called in Global. I will be going over the others that I have. I've already done a quick preview on what these units need the other week, so that way you guys could make better farming decisions. I do think I forgot to go over her loadout, but her loadout is really not any different in Japan than it is in Global. Main job on her main, Holy Brawler on her sub, although I think it's still Martial Artist there. Evade passive, or not evade passive, avoid reactive. She uses feint, which is an evade passive, so I guess there's that. And she will run the unique passive she has that gives evade. There's definitely a lot of things you can do with her. Like, if you really want to double down on the evade, I don't have them, but the blue twin blades can be used as well, and you can double down on the evade and try to use her as an evade tank, and she can probably pull it off better than most units can. But yeah, the most important thing is you're gonna want to have the DG armbands, you're gonna want to have the Wrath blades, her VCR, and regen armor. And with those alone, and her Kaigan, even without her Nenso, she's still going to perform very well. As far as her actual weapons go, I don't ever see anyone use them in Japan. I mean, you can still use them technically, it's just I don't really see a reason to use them because I just feel like they don't fit. So yeah, that's all I have to say on Yauras. I'm not really sure which DG unit I'll do next. Maybe I'll do Ultima since I almost have him 553. Anyways, thanks for watching as always, and I will see you next time.